After you'll come up with multiple different unique selling proposition ideas and validate them with your past clients, you'll have a good idea about what your unique selling proposition is going to be. And at that point, it's important to turn that into a story, a unique value proposition that you can use on both your website, but also when you're talking directly to customers, and have kind of a story that's meaningful to them. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to use a framework that's from the book Story Brand from Donald Miller. This is a really, really great book and framework. I'm going to cover this really quickly here. I do recommend you check out this book. This is really useful framework to work and sell to clients as well. So basically it goes something like this. What Donald Miller says is that most brands that tell good stories are actually using the storylines of good books in general. So I'm going to take the example of Lord of the Rings here. So basically every story has a hero, and our hero is our client. Now, in every story, that hero has some kind of a problem. So in Lord of the Rings, Frodo is the hero, and he has a problem, right? There is this dark lord who wants to destroy him, wants to own the ring, right? So he has a problem. Now, he then meets a guide, and that guide is you. That's the guide that's going to help him solve the problem. In Lord of the Rings, that guide is Gandalf, the wizard. And basically what the guide does is he gives the hero some kind of a unique plan that tells him how to solve his problem. In the case of Lord of the Rings, basically Gandalf told Frodo, in order to solve your problem, you have to drop the ring inside the fire, the mountain fire. So that's what you have to go and do. And in all stories, basically there is some kind of a guide that tells the hero how to solve their problem. And when that happens, it ends in success and everybody leaves happily ever after. And basically this framework, if you read the book, you can see that it actually applies to most Hollywood movies and old stories, and actually brands are using this story. When you use that story this way, it kind of cuts through the clatter and can really tell meaningful stories. So basically, when we're creating a value proposition, the way that we structure it is we're talking about the character, we're then saying what the problem is, what the unique plan of solving the problem is, and how success is going to look like. Now, I know that might sound a little bit abstract, so I'm going to give you a few examples. So the first example is from me. So when I tell my story, I say that I help B2B startup founders. So that's the character in my story. So I help them to make their assets look great and their communicate clearly. So that's the problem that they have when they meet me. They can't communicate clearly, and their assets usually look like crap. I'm doing this by having experience in both brand and product design. So that's basically the unique plan. And as I've mentioned earlier, my focus here is on the bundling of two different services, branding and product design. So that's the unique plan of how I'm going to help them to solve their problem. And so the success, like the happy ending of the story, is that they can raise the next round of funding and hire their core team. So that's why they want to work with me. That's how success looked like for them. So in a context of a story, again, it might sound something like, I help B2B startup founders make their assets look great and communicate clearly by having experience in both brand and product design so they can raise the next round of funding and hire their core team. Now, let me give you a few more examples from my students, actually. So I help veterinarians make sure their message gets across on all devices by utilizing a mobile-first approach so they can schedule more appointments. Okay, so in this case, this designer has a very clear niche, veterinarians. He already understood that they have a problem that most time their website is not optimized for mobile, and that causes people to not be able to schedule appointments from mobile. So he came out with a process, okay? It's not, mobile first approach is, I wouldn't say it's a totally unique process, but at least he's talking about the process in which he's going to help them solve their problem. And he's also talking about the result of solving it, what success looks like, and that's what they really actually want, to schedule more appointments. Let's give another example. I help real estate agents cultivate their database with more potential clients by developing lead-generating websites so they can grow and expand their business. So again, a very clear niche, real estate agent, a very understandable problem, okay? Everybody wants to grow their database with more potential clients, and specifically they're struggling to grow their databases. Now the problem is because they're not using a website that generate leads, okay? They don't have capture forms, maybe they don't have pop-ups, maybe they don't have a strong call to action, maybe they don't have kind of some freebie that you get when you leave your details. So he's going to help them to develop these types of websites that are focused on generating leads, and so they can grow and expand their business. That's a success plan. So note how just by being very, very clear on the problem and the unique way to solve them, it creates a story that becomes super, super targeted and super, super clear to real estate agent. When they're going to hear that story versus going to a general, we build website, we're a web design firm from San Francisco, who do you think they're going to choose? They're going to choose the one that's very clearly understands and has a plan to solve their problems. Okay, so at this point you should have all the pieces in the puzzle to start building your own story together so that you can use it later on in your website and whenever you meet potential clients and on social media and so forth.